On the sidelines of the G20 Summit in China, U.S. President Barack Obama says he had productive talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin over Syria on Monday, but the two sides have yet to reach agreement on a ceasefire deal that would allow more humanitarian aid to the war-ravaged country. President Obama spoke of gaps of trust when he addressed reporters. VOA's Marcus Houghton has more.
President Obama said the two countries must continue working toward an agreement that would lead to a cessation of hostilities in Syria.
We have had some productive conversations about what a real cessation of hostilities would look like that would allow us, both the United States and Russia, to focus our attention on common enemies like ISIL and Nusra. But given the gaps of trust that exist, that's a tough negotiation.
Russia has backed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the conflict, but the United States is working with moderate opposition forces fighting Assad. Obama has said the U.S. needs to see some buy-in from the Russians on reducing violence and easing the humanitarian crisis.
The faster we can provide some relief to folks on the ground, the better off we're going to be. And that then is a predicate for us to be able to transition into a serious conversation about a political solution to this problem.
Obama noted that a previous ceasefire agreement had some temporary impact, but the Assad regime has since resumed bombing with impunity. Obama says he has instructed U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to keep working with his Russian counterpart toward a ceasefire. The U.S. president said Putin issued the same instruction to his foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. Marcus Houghton, VOA News, Washington.
President Obama also addressed global economics and technologies at the G20 Summit.
One of the things that we learned through the G20 process is that more than ever our economies are interconnected, and we've got more work to do together to keep the global economy growing. We have to do more to grow wages faster, to shrink inequality faster, to give everybody a shot at opportunity and security in a changing economy. And that should be the way forward for the G20, to make sure that the benefits of trends like globalization and technological progress are shared broadly by more workers and families who still feel like the global economy is not working for them.
Well, here's more now on the exciting opening of the G20 Summit, where President Obama reached an agreement with Chinese President Xi Jinping on reducing pollution. Obama's other talks focused on U.S. relationships with major allies. Here's VOA's Zlatitsa Zahok.
The Sunday opening of the G20 Summit was as spectacular as the opening of the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. With good reason. The government turned yet again to celebrated film director Zhang Yimou to lend his vision to a major international event in China. The special performance combining music, dance and light effects took place on the water against the natural backdrop of Hangzhou's West Lake. The performers were not exactly miracle workers. There was a solid stage just under the water's surface, but the effect still was awe-inspiring. Chinese President Xi Jinping welcomed participants at a gala dinner Sunday night. Obama used the opportunity to hold individual talks with major world leaders. In a meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he promised U.S. help in tracking the perpetrators of the failed military coup in Turkey, but did not say it will include the extradition of a Turkish cleric Erdogan blames for the coup. The two also discussed Syria.
President Erdogan and I also agreed to continue pursuing a peaceful political transition in Syria, which is the only lasting way to end the terrible civil war there. And together we'll keep working to ease the humanitarian suffering, make sure that Syrian civilians can once again live in security, and that we can stabilize the region as a whole.
Syria's situation is complicated because of the number of parties involved in the conflict. The United States and Turkey cooperate in fighting Islamic State, and both oppose the government of Bashar al-Assad. But unlike Turkey, the U.S. also supports Kurds fighting the terrorists in Syria. Assad enjoys the support of Russia and Iran. Syrian civilians are caught in the crossfire. At the G20 Summit, Kerry worked with his Russian counterpart on a ceasefire deal for Syria. He said additional meetings are needed to resolve the remaining tough issues.
We're not going to do something that we think has less than what we believe is a legitimate opportunity to be able to try to get the job done.
Obama's Monday schedule includes a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.